We are pleased to start the 2021 fourth quarter investor conference presentation. This investor conference has been joined by the founder, Mr. William Lu, Vice President, Medical Science, Dr. Chen Xigen, Vice President, Finance, Ms. Cherry Zheng, Vice President, Biologics Development, Dr. Chen Nianyi. Next, the research and development progress will be reported by the founder of Oneness Biotech, Mr. William Lu. The research and development progress in the fourth quarter of this year is as productive as usual. In addition to the execution of existing plan, the most important task is China NDA review. Oneness Biotech's 7-person team went to mainland China in October to attend the expert review meeting. The meeting was repeatedly rescheduled due to the pandemic. The whole trip including isolation, which lasted for more than 2 months. We originally expected to see results by the end of this year, but are now still waiting. We hope to see the finalized results as soon as possible. Following is the key pipeline progress. FB825, that is anti-Cmax. It is now undergoing phase 2 studies, including atopic dermatitis and allergic asthma. FB704A is anti-IL-6, which is now going through neutrophilic asthma study and a second indication that we are developing to improve cardiovascular disease, CVD, caused by chronic kidney disease, CKD. CVD is a leading cause of death among CKD complications. ON101 is a macrophage regulator. The progress includes phase 3 trials in the United States, China NDA, medical device in the United States, and the European Union ASEAN NDA, international publications, and extramural programs. OB318 is a new drug against liver cancer and is currently undergoing phase 1 study. The last one is SNS-812, which is cRNA, a new anti-coronavirus drug co-developed by Oneness Biotech and Microbial Shanghai. It is currently undergoing preclinical development and is scheduled to enter clinical trial next year. On the clinical progress of FB825 Phase 2A in the US, partial efficacy readouts were obtained and provided to the global partner in December. Complete data analysis will be performed after the full dataset is unblinded next year. In this Phase 2A study, we did not target specific population, and we also enrolled patients of non-target group, mainly as a reference for Phase 2B study. The study is projected to be completed in January next year. In April next year, the study will be unblinded. We originally targeted March, but possibly because of the New Year holiday, the study will be unblinded in April. CSR, or Clinical Study Report, will be delivered by Q2 of 2022, and subsequent development will be taken over by the global partner. The second indication of FB825 is allergic asthma. 4 medical centers in Taiwan have already been active for enrollment. 4 subjects have been enrolled. More study sites will be included to speed up recruitment during the COVID-19 pandemic. We anticipate to complete recruitment in H2 of 2022 and have the final CSR in H1 of 2023. There is a 6-month delay compared to our projected progress, mainly due to the uncertainties of COVID-19, so we took a more conservative estimate. FB704A is a Phase 2A clinical study for severe asthma with neutrophilic phenotype. And we also have 4 medical centers active for enrollment, with another new site added. This October, after completion of the standardized analytical method for the key measurement of neutrophil counts in sputum, the first patient has been enrolled. We anticipate to complete recruitment in H2 of 2022 and to have the final CSR delivered in H1 2023. This is also 6 months later than the scheduled progress. Like the asthma indication of FB825, the study is also for indication of the respiratory tract. Because of COVID-19, we made a more conservative estimate. A second indication for FB704A, we are now targeting to improve chronic kidney disease, induced complication of cardiovascular disorders. We can clearly see that FB704A significantly reduced CRP, C-reactive protein, in the Phase 1 study, and reduced haptoglobin in the mouse model. Both CRP and haptoglobin are the key indicators in death caused by the CKD-induced CVD. We think that FB704A has great potential to develop such an indication, which is currently unmet medically. FB704A is comparable to ziltivekimab, a blockbuster drug of Corvidia. The company was acquired by Novo Nordisk for $2.1 billion. It is the first drug in the world with positive results of efficacy evaluation in a phase 2b study in this indication. We have completed its efficacy evaluation. FB704A is comparable in terms of the IL-6 binding inhibition of inflammatory cytokine release from endothelial cells and neutrophil count reduction. The time on the regimen will be longer with longer half-life. We will proceed with further evaluation on this. We anticipate to complete a 26-week long-term toxicology study of 704A in H1 next year. This is the long-term toxicology study we planned from the beginning. Because the CKD-induced CVD study required a regimen of 6 months, the decision will be made whether to proceed with an IND for phase 2A in this indication after the 6-month toxicology result is obtained. The above two drugs are both important antibody drugs for Oneness, developed under our dual indication strategy. For FB825, the indication developed for this anti-Cmax are atopic dermatitis and allergic asthma. As for FB704A, as it is used in anti-IL-6, in addition to being the first one to use it for severe asthma with higher neutrophils, we also move into the improvement of CKD-induced complication of CVD. This market is huge. Almost all patients over the age of 50 have the complication. With nearly 600 million patients, we think this market is big enough for several new drugs. This is also a major newly developed indication for IL-6 drugs. Next is the update on ON101 phase 3 study in the USA. The second phase 3 study in the USA has been initiated in Q2 2021. The initiation of 15 clinical sites for enrollment has been completed in the third quarter of 2021. We anticipate to enroll 208 DFU patients in H2 of 2022. We hope to apply for the NDA in the United States between 2024 and 2025. We are on track according to our original plan. Next is the update on ON101 China NDA. This information was captured this morning from the public info platform of China Center for Drug Evaluation, CDE. You can see that the review status is completed without request on document supplementation. In other words, we have completed the entire review. The result is now pending, and the reason for that is not very clear. Should there be any requirement for supplement materials, we can fulfill requirements as promptly as possible. Again, I would like to recap on the update of the current progress of NDA in China. On March 13th this year, our NDA application was accepted. It was the very first Class 1.1 new drug application under natural drug category in China. In the third quarter of this year, GCP inspection was performed in 4 hospitals in central and southern China, and the result was compliant. In Q4 of this year, a 2-day meeting with advisory committee was held, and it went well. Also in the same quarter, the National Institute for Food and Drug Control issued a drug registration inspection report, and a comprehensive inspection was conducted on all reagents, APIs, and products. Was confirmed that the samples being qualified. Now we have applied to TFDA for ON101 NDA assessment report for China CDE's reference. We're awaiting China CDE's final assessment report for NMPA's decision. NMPA, the National Medical Products Administration, is an institution similar to Taiwan's FDA. This is the update on China NDA. We first expected to receive results by the end of this year, but we now have to wait a bit longer even though all the reviews were completed. Let's now move on to the update of Fespison's ASEAN Plus 1 market entry, which is ASEAN countries plus India. For the first stage, we applied to 3 countries, including Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. In December this year, Singapore HSA accepted our NDA application. Because Vespisone is a new drug, so an abridged evaluation of 180 working days was applicable. This December, Malaysia MPRA notified supplementation requirement for admin review. It is very normal to be asked to provide supplementation materials during NDA review. We expect to submit this supplementation in Q1 of 2022. In the same month, the dossier for Thailand NDA application was ready. We will submit after MAH agent is confirmed in Q1 of 2022. We expect to be able to gain market access to these 3 markets next year. For the second stage of ASEAN Plus One market entry, we targeted 4 countries: India, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia. For India, clinical trial waiver was submitted. The review timeline is approximately 6 months. We will submit NDA upon receipt of CTW grant. For Vietnam, we plan to submit NDA in Q1 2022. We have received notification from Philippine FDA and GMP compliance administrative review was completed. We also plan to submit NDA in the first quarter of next year. NDA submission for Indonesia is scheduled in the first half of next year. We expect to obtain market entry to these ASEAN countries in the second half of next year the earliest, and the first half of the next year after the latest. Update on US and EU wound care medical device. For US medical device 510K, notification of supplementation has been received. We will complete the supplementation study data and submit in the first half of 2022. It was originally expected to be completed in Q1 next year. The supplement may be completed in Q1 next year if the experiment is not delayed by the New Year holiday. Because the US market is the largest one with a size up to billions every year, so we take a dual-track strategy to this market. One is new drug, and the other is medical device in order to mitigate any possible risks. Now with 510K application being accepted, we expect to hear the decision on medical device route next year, if all goes well. As for EU, we applied for another indication that is scar reduction. Given the prior experience with medical device in the US, we applied for scar reduction as its indication. ISO 13485 audit has been completed in December. This is a critical audit which satisfied part of the requirements for EU medical device application submission. We expect to receive ISO 13485 certificate in Q1 next year for EU medical device submission. We plan to apply for these medical device indications in Q3 or the second half of next year. The approval by European and the US Health Authority can be referenced by many countries for abridged application. We have explored all possible means to allow Vespisone into international markets when the progress on drug side has not moved as fast as we expected. On international publications, the second manuscript, which is ON101's mechanism, in vitro and in vivo data, has been submitted to the International Dermatological Journal and given comments by the reviewers for supplementation data. We will submit the supplementation data in Q1 of 2022. The third manuscript will explore the mechanism of drug action in the human body. The clinical MOA study has been completed in November 2021, and the sample analysis was completed in December 2021. The manuscript submission is scheduled for the first half of 2022. These 3 papers are important academic and scientific basis for ON101 to enter the international markets. We hope that on this basis, we can maximize market profitability. Next is an update on OB318 enrollment. OB318 is a new drug for liver cancer treatment and is now in phase 1 clinical study. Because phase 1 clinical study enrolled advanced cancer patients, there were more hiccups. Cohort 1 study was completed. Cohort 2 is ongoing with 2/3 completed. Each cohort requires 3 patients. and it is expected that the completion of the study will be pushed back 1 quarter to Q1 of the following year. Next is the progress of SNS-812, a new COVID-19 treatment drug which targets the conserved region of SARS-CoV-2. As of 13th of December 2021, its target viral genome covered 99.8% of the more than 300,000 SARS-CoV-2 strains, including the Omicron variant, according to NCBI database and GSED. CMO and CRO contracts have been signed. We have proceeded with GMP production and non-clinical tox studies. Plan to submit IND in the second half of 2022. The US FDA has given us very comprehensive advice, including some studies exemptions, so we can fast forward our progress. At the same time, because the research, development process, and study results of SNS-812 are very innovative, SNS-812 research data and results have been submitted to a renowned international journal. We have received reviewers' requests to submit supplementary materials. All supplementary materials have been submitted. We look forward to hearing from the editors to move into the subsequent procedure of publication. The red box represents the sequence targeted by SNS-812. The Omicron variant of the coronavirus has about 34 genetic mutations, as shown in the red dots. The targeted sequence by SNS-812 is less likely to mutate during viral replication. You can see that basically SNS-812 works on all types of variants with a coverage rate of 99.8%. Following is the Fespison distribution channel coverage in Taiwan, collaboration with academic and research institutes, as well as international conferences. After Fespison's launch in June, we have been actively expanding distribution channels. We have filed listing applications for 19 medical centers, reaching a coverage rate of 90.5%. Also, we have applied for listing in 35 regional hospitals with wound treatment, reaching a coverage rate of 64%. Listing applications to 32 district hospitals were submitted. That would be a coverage rate of 60.4%. The sales network has been established to cover 342 clinics and in-hospital pharmacies. We will continue to work on drug listing process of each hospital. Due to the pandemic, many hospitals have delayed the meetings of Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee. The listing will be completed subject to the P&T Committee meeting timeline. We anticipate that on the basis of unified pricing of Fespison, the listing applications will be accepted by P&T committees in all medical centers in the first half of 2022, and the listing applications to 100 regional and district hospitals will be accepted around the same time. To better care for all DFU patients, we also set up a diabetic foot care network, which comprehensively connects in-hospital pharmacies, regional and district hospitals, and clinics across Taiwan, and it also provides up-to-date information. As of 23rd of December, 463 institutions have been added to the network. It is an increase by 46% compared to the 317 of last quarter. On the collaboration with academic and research institutes, we actively promote the study of Fespison, encouraging the medical, academic, and the research institutes to participate in Fespison academic or clinical researches in order to add values to Fespison. The current program includes venous leg ulcers, VLU, scars, 2 projects, biofilm, pressure injury, 2 projects, and DFU, 3 projects. We will go into deep dives on each one of these. The VLU study took place at the Taipei Veterans General Hospital. The trial is going well so far. The SCAR study is conducted at the Tri-Service General Hospital, and basic research is conducted at Shuanghe Hospital. The trials are going well so far. For biofilm trial, we worked with Professor Zheng at the National Taiwan University Hospital. The trial also is going well. Open-label clinical trials for pressure injury took place at 2 medical centers, Kaohsiung Medical University Hospital and Wenfang Hospital. They aim to explore the efficacy and safety of ON101 cream for the treatment of pressure injury in sacrum wound. We are now in the process of replying to the review feedback of IRB and are now preparing for the second review. As for the treatment of the chronic diabetic foot ulcers in grade 3 patients and patients with renal dialysis, the trials respectively take place in Cathay General Hospital, Chang'an Memorial Hospital, and China Medical University Hospital, and the three are now undergoing the reviewing process of IRB. On Fespison's approval in Macau and market entry, we have received prior authorization for import of traditional medicines on December 16, 2021. Fespison will be launched in Macau and can be accessed via pharmacies, hospitals, and online drugstores in Q1 of next year. Macau is part of Fespison's global market entry plan. The exclusive commercialization right for Macau has been out-licensed to Microbial Shanghai, MBS. MBS will be responsible for the sales. To be in line with international development, Oneness also actively participates in various major medical conferences, including making a presentation on Fespison study results on December 5th and 6th at the Plastic Surgery Society annual meeting. On December 8th, we also made an oral presentation at IDF Congress. In January next year, we will participate in the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, and on March 12th and 13th next year, we will attend the annual conference of Taiwan Surgical Association to publish our research paper. On March 26th next year, we will participate in the academic seminar of annual meeting of Taiwan Society for Wound Care. In March next year, we will take part in the Congress of the World Union of Wound Healing Societies. On the NHI reimbursement application for Fespison, DFU trial literature review, CEA analysis, BIA analysis report have been completed and submitted to Taiwan NHI for reimbursement pricing application. Typically, the review timeline of Taiwan NHI reimbursement pricing takes 9 to 10 months, but the actual duration is subject to the review procedure of the NHI. Next, I would like to give an update on ON101 EAP planning. We have started to work with consulting company for named patient program in Europe, the UK, Russia, the Latin America, the Middle East, and North Africa regions, where the market approval of Fespison has not yet been obtained, but the treatment can be provided under such program. In December 2021, the first shipment of Fespison has been delivered to the UK. Next, on ON101 international licensing and collaboration, our shareholders all know that the goal of Oneness is to establish a sustainable business model by out-licensing new drugs for cash flow to support the future research and development. We target to sign one licensing deal every year. Last year, it was FB825, and this year, we targeted ON101. Before long, we hope to finalize the collaboration with one satisfactory candidate. What are the satisfactory terms? We have out-licensed FB825 after its completion of phase 1 stage development for $530 million. ON101 has completed a phase 3 study, so the anticipated license package of ON101 reflects the value of the asset. I'm able to tell you that the final negotiation is currently underway. I believe that shareholders are watching, and foreign partners are also watching as well. We cannot disclose too much detail other than that we are working aggressively towards the goals we set, and we hope to achieve them. If results cannot be obtained this year as we planned, it would not be long. Most importantly, we are shooting for a deal that we genuinely feel comfortable with. We are in negotiation with multiple companies in North America and Europe. Many local pharma companies in China approached us for business collaboration discussion. But so far, we haven't moved to a further stage because we hope to avoid anything that would interfere the progress of the NDA before the approval is granted. Therefore, once we collect all materials and gain more clarity, we will start negotiation. So the ON101 negotiation, as I described before, will adopt regional out-licensing model with all the indications inclusive. In terms of investment risk, I would like to emphasize that Oneness is committed to the development of global innovative drugs. Great innovation is accompanied by high risks. Any research and development projects may take an unexpected turn. As Oneness has done its best to mitigate risks, investors should have risk awareness. The investors should know that Oneness is not in merchandise business or manufacturing industry. It is an innovative pharmaceutical company which seeks to develop world-leading innovative drugs. This entails great risks and success is a long shot. Of course, we implemented double or even triple risk management, which applies to the antibody drugs we have just covered in our presentation. As the R&D costs for antibody drugs are high, we aim for indications. Maybe both will work or only one will work. Even though we have properly managed these risks, the investors should not expect immediate return. The next step after successful development of new drugs is to establish distribution channel. The establishment of distribution channel in Taiwan is a step-by-step effort. Negotiating with doctors, the regulators, and the NHI takes a long time. Patience is needed. Oneness has talents, capital, technology, and innovation. The new drug pipeline covers various stages. Profitability will begin after the company reaches the turning point where the licensed drug achieves the milestone, the launched drugs enters into major markets, and the rest of the pipeline continues to be out-licensed. This is an important final note on investment risk. Thank you for your attention.